welcome to my YouTube channel Blank. I'm Iron, and today I will be showing you the second of a series, the second day of Digitober. This will be the second video to a 31 video series, sorry, each for every day of October that I'll be posting soon. And yes, Digital Inktober. It might sound weird, but bear with me. It's a little challenge I thought of, using only white and black to do digital drawings. You might have heard all of this already from the first video I made, and if you didn't, go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. So now without further ado, let's get into it. The second word from an old Inktober list I got on the internet is investigate. So now, while you enjoy this quick little speed paint I made, based on the word, I'll be telling you a horror story based on the word investigate. So let's start. Private Investigator. Here are a few of my strangest cases, part 1. Not sure if these are true, but screw it. Let's dive in. Hey there, Reddit. A buddy of mine clued me into sub a while back, knowing that I'm a total sucker for creepy stories. Reading the post that SAR guy made a while back, I felt compelled to share a few experiences of my own, mostly because his stories struck a chord with me as being similar, at least in tone, to a few of mine, even though his are definitely a tad weirder. I never got around to it, but I have a little free time at the moment, so why not? Thought I'd share because I feel you guys will appreciate these stories, and because I'd like to get them off of my chest. Talking about the bizarre to others always tends to remove a bit of the gnawing feeling that surrounds it, even if the respite that results is brief. I've worked as a private investigator for around 5 or 6 years now, running my own business. It's usually a pretty bad idea to just up and start an independent PI company as your gateway to the job. In fact, it's pretty darn stupid. But I live in a town that's small enough that I was able to make it work. My first year or so was pretty rocky, as I tried to adjust to the job. But having a couple of friends in the field to give me pointers here and there definitely helped. I eventually began to hit my stride, and as my reputation increased, so too did my client base. I won't be specific about where I live, nor will I use my real name, or any other real names. As a PI, people come to me with some pretty personal and it's universally taboo to just go sharing the specifics with the world. The extent that I'll admit is that I'm in Canada, and that I'm in a small, semi-remote town, surrounded by vast boreal forest. Not the kind you'd go exploring or hiking through with the friends, but the kind that you would stay away from because, much like the stereotype, there are bears and caribou all over the shop. Trust me, caribou will stay up seriously bad. So, with that little bit of preamble out of the way, I suppose I'll start. I tend to get a lot of cases from paranoid spouses, and most I'll take, however absurd. I'm in no position to turn down a paying customer, and when they turn out to be correct, it always feels good to help them out an unfaithful partner. This case, despite having a reasonably explainable conclusion, was creepy enough to have definitely caused me to think a little more about what to accept and what to decline. Bear with me a little bit, my music is way too loud, I have to turn it down a notch. There we go. Roughly 2 years ago, I get a cold call from what sounds like an older man. He asks me to make sure he's called the right place, and when I tell him he has, he immediately launches into a particularly long-winded rant about how his wife is plotting against him and how she's planning to, quote-unquote, take him out. I try to get him to calm down and ask when he would be able to come over to the office so we could discuss things over a coffee. What he should bring, hash out whether or not this was a legitimate case, and if so, negotiate a fee. He's adamant that he needs to see me as soon as possible. So he comes in a couple of hours. I don't have any cases at the time, so I'm all for it. He's an older gentleman, in around his late 50s, early 60s probably, and is visibly shaken when he shows up. We talk for a little while, and he's definitely calmed down by this point, but he's still obviously frightened. He tells me that his wife has been going out to meet other elderly women for a sort of book club type deal, and that he's sure that they're all out for his blood. Things get really interesting when he reveals that every morning, around 4 a.m., he's woken up by an abnormally loud sound, like dogs barking and growling frantically. He tells me that he always wakes up to see his wife standing in the bedroom doorway, and that two other elderly women, resembling a few of her friends, are always standing motionless behind her, making no movements, just staring. The creepy part is that his wife is still in bed with him, sleeping. They don't move as long as he doesn't, but he tells me that as soon as he performs anything noticeable, they stumble off before he has a chance to put his glasses on to get a better look. The few times that he had gone to check, he found his back door opened, but never anything else out of place. I'm a little weirded out, and at first think it may be sleep paralysis, but the fact that a previously closed door is open, and that he is able to effortlessly move rules. This needs commas. I'm a little weirded out, and at first think it may be sleep paralysis, but the fact that a previously closed door is open and that he is able to effortlessly move rules that out. I ask if he has a carbon monoxide detector in his room. He tells me he does, and that it hasn't ever gone off. I ask about things like his address, when his wife usually leaves, when he usually leaves, the location of her book club, pictures of his wife, her friends, things like that. We come to an agreement. I take the case, and he goes off on his way. I head off to his place that night and park my car in his street, in a location which I can see his front door and the gate leading into his backyard. I set up my camera and turn on a podcast. Since I have to be there before he goes to sleep to ensure I don't miss it, it's possible that they could arrive before 4. I'm out there for around 6 hours with no signs of any activity. The roads are dark, safe for dim, country streetlights, and more or less barren. There's this almost piercing feeling of silence and isolation, not unlike the town had suddenly become entirely deserted, like I'm the only living thing outside on that night. My podcast had long ended, and a permeating essence of dread enticed me to turn the music that had replaced it off, for fear of unspeakable whispers worming their way into the silence between guitar strums. 3:30 sharp, and almost as if on cue, the sound of a dog barking nearly gives me a heart attack. What's worse is how incredibly loud and oddly discordant it is. That is, it's odd until I realize that it's multiple dogs, as if every dog in the block started barking in eerie unison. This is when I catch a glimpse of them in my rear view. 2 small, shriveled figures, and one taller, more lithe one, all slowly stumbling across the sidewalk, all clad in white dresses, appearing so suddenly it's like NPCs have just entered my draw distance. The tint on my windows ensures they don't notice me as they pass by, but I'm nonetheless silent as a mouse, deathly afraid that one might peer over into my window as they pass. Their footsteps echo as they pass my car, and as they do, my blood runs cold. It is not, in fact, 3 old ladies. It is 2 old ladies striding along, one lifeless, stark white mannequin, rigid like a corpse fresh from the grave and dressed as the old man's wife. I try to shake myself out of my daze and begin to take a few pictures with one cam, video them with the other. Sure enough, they turn right down his driveway, their mannequin in tow, and one of them unlocks the back gate, vanishing from view. I check the footage and pictures to make sure they're clear, trying to get over the horrid bizarreness of the whole situation. I try to think of something, since it's obviously not a good idea just to leave the old couple there with a pair of creepy old ladies who are probably suffering from dementia or something. Since it appears they're usually watching him for a half hour or so, I assume they've probably no intent to harm him, but one can never be sure. I pull out my cell and call up his phone, hoping to try to drive them out. A few minutes later, they're shambling away down the street, mannequin grinding against the pavement. I wait until they're out of view before letting out a breath of relief. The guy doesn't initially believe me when I tell him what happened, but I show him the pictures and video and he goes pale. Despite the definite creep factor involved, he reacts instead by letting out the deepest sigh of relief I think I've ever heard. He mumbles something and I can see tears starting to run down his cheeks. He smiles a little melancholically and thanks me, saying that he has to apologize to his wife for not trusting her and not talking to her about it first. I'm not entirely sure what happened after, but I assumed he took the photos to someone as the visits stopped happening after that. I'm not sure the details, but apparently the women had pretty much gone off their rockers due to old age. His wife had given one of them keys in case they ever wanted to come over. I honestly don't understand the logic behind this one, other than she's old, I guess. Either way, I believe the 2 of them are in a home of some kind now, and the husband made up with his wife pretty easily. I have plenty more where that came from, and from here on out, it only gets weirder. If you guys are interested, I'll probably post more. Hell, I'll probably post more regardless, just for my own peace of mind, more than anything. And that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys subscribe to my channel, drop a like, hit the notification bell to get notified when my next video comes out, and I hope that I'll see you next time for the next Digitober. Goodbye!